And welcome to a special early edition of the This Week in Worcester podcast. I'm Tom Marino, editor of This Week in Worcester. I'm here with my partner in Gab, John Edward Keogh. He is the executive producer of Manny J Media and president of oh my God,
Hollywood Film Group.
Ho- thank you. I don't know. I don't know why I couldn't do it. Hollywood Film Group. And you, sir, we are doing this early edition because you, sir, will be attending. Will be running an event tonight. I would assume. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Okay. So tonight is the first screening of the Dirty Gerund Poetry Show documentary, which is a film that was directed by Manny and produced by Manny J Media, and then I'm, as the owner of Hollywood Film Group, I am distributing it. And so we are doing the first screening tonight as part of our commitment to the community. We promised that we would do a free show. And so we're doing that free show at Ralph's, which is where the Dirty German Poetry Show happens every Monday night. And so we are doing that tonight, and it's very exciting. And that's pretty much it. It's not it should be a pretty cool show because the crew will turn out. The folks, I'm sharing all our thing here. All right, boom.
Mhm.
All right, I'm done sharing. We're going to do it at 8 o'clock is when people will start showing up. The show will start at 8:30. We want to make sure that people who might not be able to come to the red carpet premiere get a shot to actually come to the show. And of course, because the red carpet premiere will have some cost associated with it, we want to have a free show that makes sure the public gets a chance to see it if they can't afford the tickets. And then we'll talk more about the ticketed show, at a later time. But you published a quick review of it yesterday. This week in Worcester always likes to cover community events. I noticed that some of the other outlets declined to cover it, but that's not completely out of the ordinary. Plus, you happen to half like me, so I appreciate that. And Yeah, it's super exciting. It got submitted to Sundance, the Sundance Film Festival last night, which is really exciting, and a couple other smaller festivals. Um, but it's mind-boggling. It took a year to do it because obviously there wasn't a huge budget for something like this, so we had to take our time, and realistically we had to volunteer a lot of our time. They did raise some money with a Kickstarter. It's like $1,500, and they paid us $1,300, so that was our budget. Managing Media got $1,300 to do this thing, and it's awesome. I don't care what anybody says, this thing is unbelievable. It came out so good. And Leanne spent probably I don't know, it's got to be 500, 600 hours editing it. And then, Mandy's been promoting it for a year straight, and I'm just blown away. I'm very excited about tonight. So that's the gist of it. Sorry that we're gonna come on early, but that's it.
Yeah. Um, I probably should have posted a notice earlier, but I didn't. So boo at me. And that's at Ralph's Diner tonight. And then the premiere is October 11th.
Yeah. October 11th at the Park View Room, which is right on Park Avenue across from Elm Park.
You were event crazy today. You were also at Start at the Street on the street today.
That's right.
And as I'm sure always, this is so. If you weren't aware, this is the last year, the 20th year of Start in the Street. Unfortunately, the organizers, with a lot of other things going on, other projects they're involved in, will not be doing this event moving forward. It's a great event and will be missed. But I can understand being over it after 20 years. I'm sure it is a absolute ton of work. But tell me what happened today.
So it was absolutely packed. Like there was, you can go check out Manny J Media. You can see the live coverage. At first, Leanne hosted the first 25 minutes of us weaving in and all the. It was thousands and thousands of people, and then Manny came in about, like I said, about 25 minutes in, and we did our thing. Interviewed several people. I will say this: Fabian Barak from the Worcester Cultural Center. I don't know. He works for the city, for the Cultural Coalition or something. He said that they're trying to save it. So there is some conversations about figuring out how to save it, because there had to be 200 plus vendors there, all artists and all that stuff, and I mean it was tremendous turnout. It was a mob of humanity,
Hmm.
just a mob of humanity. Which maybe part of the reason why is because they announced that they got some significant coverage from local press. Some of the bigger organizations covered it, maybe because it is going away. Maybe that's why. I'm not sure. You did a full breakdown of the story too, on This Week in Worcester, which kind of went into the details of why they're saying it. The biggest thing that I took away, Manny interviewed one of the coordinators, and there was some other people there, is that the folks that work this event are not paid. They're almost all volunteer staff, and in the past when they had 100 people volunteering, I guess this year they only had like 20, and so without that full staff, it makes it really really difficult. And of course it's difficult to raise money to pay the staff. That, and so there's like kind of the balance out. It's hard to keep the table prices low and pay staff, right? So if your table prices aren't going to be an extraordinary number, like some of the other events in the city where there's like an event and it's $500 or $1,000 for one day, whereas this event, tries to keep tabling, and I'm pretty sure that these tables were between 100 and 250, and there was some that were grant written, so there was subsidized tables. It's really hard to pay staff, and this event
Yeah.
needs staff. I mean, the city supported it by you saw that there was dump trucks on both ends of the thing that were Department of Public Works trucks this year, which is a little bit different than before. And then they had the police there in force as a security, where in the past I think they've had a hired private security or off-duty police officers, including Chief Paul Saucier, again showing his commitment to the community. I've seen him at almost every community event,
Everything.
this summer. He was there, and he was actually walking a beat with one of the captains, not one of the three captains that we might three deputy chiefs we might want to talk about. But anyways, I noticed there was a presence of the police there, and a lot of brass were out there. And I saw Christian King, I saw Guillermo Creamer there. The mayor was there earlier. I saw I think Jenny Pasilla was there at one point. We didn't get a chance to talk to her. I mean, it was just a huge turnout. And it shows that the city can do this. So that's really what you want to say. It's like, look, we can do this, and it's still going on right now. It's 5:39. They're there till 6 o'clock. There's a concert, I think, right at the end at the Elm Park Park Ave thing. So I think there's a concert right at 6, right on the lawn there. There's a stage there. So that's like the end, and then they'll start to kind of slowly close down the thing. If you've ever been at start of the street at the end, what they do is they kind of start to pinch in on the vendors while they're breaking down tables and chairs. They do a really good job. The organizers do have a great system of that event. So it was great. It was just so many people and so many different things. People reach out to your city councilors and put pressure on them, figure out ways to have events like this in the city. And it was awesome. I don't know what else to say. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean it's I didn't get there today, but I have been there in years past, and it's an amazing event. The organizers I know worked really hard, obviously, for a very long time doing this. I don't like, what is the city? I don't even understand that statement though. We're trying to save it. What does that even mean? Like,
I don't know. I mean, the culture. I mean, I know Fabian has worked hard with other events, and so I did see that some of like the downtown Worcester business staff were working as volunteers. So it looks like the city supplemented the volunteers of the event with city employees, and so there must be some. I don't know what that means though, because remember that the Start on the Street was a nonprofit art organization. If you remember, it was originally WART, which was cool. And it's not a city entity, but there, of course, over the years, the city gets involved when things become really successful. So I don't know if there's some way for them to get involved. I'm not 100% sure. I know that the costs have skyrocketed over the past few years because, again, you're keeping table prices low, but you're asking for volunteers, and so that's really difficult because it's a long day. I mean, we were only there for an hour and a half, and I was exhausted walking around. So I can imagine, I've done a lot of events. I actually went to the Silver Screen Con yesterday at DCU Center. Again, if you walk around those events for 2 hours, you're tired. So imagine if you're a staff person there and you're working 6, 8, 10 hours, you're going to feel exhausted. And so, I mean, to me, the only sustainable way for events like that is to pay staff. You have to have paid staff, right? You can't expect people to work for free. And so, but how do you get 100 people to work, at an event like that? Because if you're thinking an 8-hour day at minimum wage, you're just probably not going to get a lot of folks that are interested in doing that kind of work. So you're going to start to have to pay 20, 25 bucks an hour. So now you're looking at $200, $300 days per staff person. I mean, times 100 people, now you're talking serious, actual, real money. And so then, offsetted that with what the vendors. Now there are some sponsors of the event, but again, that kind of income has declined over the past few years because other businesses' costs have gone up. So it's really hard to get, like, I don't know, 100.7 the Pike to like throw 50 grand at you when they're not getting the same advertising revenue on the radio that they used to get. So because everything shifted really onto the internet. So I mean, which, by the way, This Week in Worcester podcast, which is a fully functional internet-based podcast, what Tom and I are doing here from 2 different locations live. We are seeking sponsors, and we're open to anybody who would like to sponsor This Week in Worcester. And this is where advertising dollars have gone, is online, because people actually get to engage with us in real time. That's why Manny does a lot of the community events. One of the cool things about our thing is that we weave through and go on and see everything that's happening. So, I hope there's a way to save it, but I have no idea how they're going to do it.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't know what that really means. Yeah, and I imagine it's an incredibly expensive event to put on. I don't know what the cost associated is with closing the street, but the sheer area that the event takes up, I mean, that requires, I'm sure, several detail officers, which are not cheap.
I mean, that's almost a mile because it's from the corner of Pleasant and Park to the corner of Highland and Park. So it's like it's almost a mile of street, and then of course Park Avenue is a huge street, so they got to close the edges of all those cross streets too. So it's not easy to do, and of course there has to be a heavy security presence because of the amount of people, and then of course Elm Park and Park Avenue, there's folks struggling all over the place, and so there's definitely, you could definitely feel the presence of the police today for sure. Good for them. Obviously, the attitude has radically changed. We've watched that happen in real time over the past year, as the current chief has changed the attitude of officers. Because I even saw a CERT team, special response team. So those are CERT team officers out there in full gear, and they were playing with the kids. There was this like zone where they had the kids kind of games for kids, like to draw chalk and make stuff. And I saw the officers in there playing with the kids, and I've never seen that before, ever. I've never seen that before. So and I'm not saying I've never seen officers out doing stuff, because you do, but it wasn't security detail that they were on today. They were in full public engagement and community mode. So good for them, by the way, for that.
Yeah, I can. I think that the being part of the us rather than being part of the them is an underrated aspect and really important, for sure.
By the way, there's cool stuff at Start on the Street that just doesn't happen anywhere else in Worcester. Like they got the Renaissance folks that come out that do the nights, and so I don't know if you've ever seen them, but one dude, he has his fencing hat on and he has a beard over it, and so he was doing that, and there was some fairies and some folks dressed up in cosplay and stuff. Really cool, unique. It's just a combination of events. At Silver Screen Con yesterday, which is a horror focused event, really put on by the band Ice Nine Kills, is just kind of one genre, right? And it was really cool too. I went to that yesterday. It was heavy on the celebrities, but there's a lot of people dressed up. what makes Start on the Street different is that it's different genres. Like there's a whole section of just recycled material artists. Like there's like probably 30 vendors, and all they do is they sell art that they recycle. So, there's a guy that does the little robots, and there's the lady who does, like she got, it's like driftwood or something, like on a beach, and she like changes into cool wood and art. I mean, there's so many cool things. And regular vendors that, candy and food and stuff that are all Worcester locals. So, and then of course, the really, really cool part about Start on the Street is it doesn't close the businesses on Park Avenue. So, like, that's entertainment. Every year, That's Entertainment usually has comic book artists. They usually do a special sale that day. It's one of their biggest days of the year. I always thought that was cool. El Basha was open. A Stop Cafe was open. I mean, all of Park Avenue up to Pleasant Street was wide open, and people were going in and out. And so these events, they don't just bring business to the vendors that are in the middle of the street. It drives business inside, which is how you have long-term economic viability. Because if you go in to That's Entertainment on Start on the Street day, and maybe you buy a comic book for $5 off, it's going to make you more likely next Thursday to come back to That's Entertainment when there's not a big festival on the street, right? So the whole thing is a really amazing community collaborative. The idea to this day remains one of the best in the city. So either this has to continue or someone else has to pick up the ball and carry it. So we'll see what happens.
That's a big ball to pick up.
It is. It's a big project.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. But Laura and Stacy are they? I forget. God, I forget the name of the building that's starting construction on what is that, Main Street? The old boys club on Main Street, not where the affordable housing is, right? Is that on Main Street? What's the address of that place that they're building that art center?
I'm not. It doesn't pop into my brain all the way.
So they have those two ladies that are part of the organizing team for Start on the Street are opening a facility in Worcester. I believe its construction starts later this fall. That is basically for artists and kids to learn art. So one example of the other things that the key organizers that have going on. That is, I think, part of the motivation to step away.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing too, is that remember, most of the time, organizers of events, if you've ever done an event, what you end up having to do is you have to have 17 jobs. And I've done a lot of events. I used to own an event company, and then I've done many film-based events. And like tonight we have the premiere coming up, and then we have another I don't want to say the real, but the red carpet premiere in a few weeks. And we have Dead of Winter again coming up in February, and it's just you got so many things that you have to deal with. You have to deal with insurance, and you have to deal with, payroll, and you got to figure out, you got to make sure there's enough water. They did a great job. If you ever go to Start on the Street, they in the middle of Elm Street and Park Avenue, right at the intersection, there's usually a table where there's the Start staff, and they just hand out water to anybody who wants it for free. Okay, but if you think about it, when there's thousands, and I guarantee there was 10,000 people there. I don't want to overestimate, but there was definitely at least 10,000 people, and there was box trucks just full of water that were, staff were running water over to those tables the whole day. So someone's got to coordinate that and say, and then of course, I mean, if you think about it, that's a tough job. So you got to go from the table to the truck with the dolly full of waters, and you got to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for 8 hours. It's a tiring, exhausting job, and so it makes sense, how the logistics, just so much.
For sure.
Yeah.
You also had some thoughts on. So the city has released a new survey. For residents on housing issues, which you said you had some thoughts on, and I'm interested to hear.
I do. So the city, if you go to the city's webpage and their Facebook and their Instagram, they put out a survey that is about the Worcester's 2025 housing production plan. They released it either Friday or Saturday at some point. And basically, this is a survey that you need to take it's a really good idea to give feedback to the city. And so here's the thing that strikes me. It really really strikes me. And if you actually look at the picture is a picture of Elm Street, and it shows some of the old school triple deckers, which are no longer being built. Pretty much the number one source of multifamily units in the city of Worcester, in New England in general, and they're very difficult to build because of zoning that's changed over the years. Okay, so but anyways, in the survey itself, if you go in there, it starts to ask you, like why are you struggling with housing? So, there's no automatic thing that says affordability, right? It says lack of affordable market rate options. It doesn't say affordability. It says lack of affordable market rate options. And here's the big problem. That means that this survey, whoever wrote it, is super influenced by developer speak. That phrase market rate in relation to affordability is, I'm sorry, Tom, I'm going to say it, it's just complete and utter nonsense for you to say market rate and affordability in the same sentence. Because market rate right now, we are seeing in some of these new buildings single one bedroom places for $1,700.
Yep.
That's a one bedroom. We saw studios like we talked about this last week. There's a few studios in the city that are $1,400 and $1,500 studio apartments, guys. Studio apartments, and that is considered market rate. Market rate. Now, I don't want to get into whether or not those markets are being manipulated by, I don't know, RealPage software and buildings that are influencing that in the city, right? But I'm live from Ghana. I would not let that. I don't know about all that. Someone is live from Ghana. So what I don't know about it, I don't know for sure, is whether or not those things are influencing the city's prices. Tom and I have been working on a series of articles, and we're kind of looking into that and trying to figure out how we can drill down. And we're hoping the Department of Justice will help us with that story as they release evidence from their indictment of the RealPage software company. But the thing that really strikes me is that phrase market rate means that they think that is how we get to affordable. But the problem is that if you're making let's say you're making $40,000 a year, right? So you're taking home what, $600 a week, $700 a week, and then you're having to pay rent that's higher than that weekly paycheck. You are what's called cost burdened, right? That's the technical definition for the term cost burden, is that your rent is more than a single paycheck. And hey, Victor, how you doing? And if you have a single paycheck and you can't pay your own rent, it's just nonsense. So then the city's releasing that survey, and the only way for you to say that back to the city is you have to click other and then type it in physically. And most people, when they take a survey, are not going to take that extra step to type it in. So I posted it on Worcester Political Dialogue, and I hope more people do. Go in there and tell them what you think, because they don't listen. They really don't. And this is, I actually wrote it, and I don't mind what people know what I wrote. I wrote that one of the things I'm afraid of is that the city does not care about me, and the city doesn't care about regular people. They only care about what the developers think. And the evidence seems to indicate that that's really what is most important to them, is developers. And our own current city manager is quoted as saying to the Telegram and Gazette that the developers are one of the most important seats, if not the most important seat at the table. So if that's the case, right, then you're never going to get a developer to offer, a rent that's not going to get them the most possible profits. And Tom just wrote an article about that. There's no such thing as a development partner or a corporation that wants to partner with anybody. They just want to charge you because they actually are legally required. If they are a publicly traded company, they have every obligation to pursue profit for their shareholders. And whether in the same, in most private corporations are the same. I understand there are a few beneficent private corporations in our world that do actually care about people and try, but the vast majority of them are just trying to make the dough, and they're going to make the dough at all costs. At all costs, they don't care about you or me and at all. But the problem is Tom, I was walking downtown, and I'll finish up right now. I was walking downtown the other day. I decided to take a walk to Kelly Square in the middle of the night. I don't know why, but I just wanted to kind of go down there. And I was walking by Polar Park, and I was looking at those two of those new buildings, the Revington and I forget what the other one's called. But anyways, the one next to Polar Park and the one across the street from Polar Park. And I saw that there are some people actually in there, right? But it's not full at all. And both of those buildings have been leasing for a few months now. So I want to say something to the city. I don't know if anybody from the city actually watches this. If market rate was the cost of those buildings, which is what we've said, although I think there's a few low income options in those buildings. If market rate was true, wouldn't the market be fulfilling the demand? But that's not what's happening. So that means the market, at least the Worcester market, can't sustain those buildings. Now, eventually, they think that people are going to move from where? From Framingham, from Boston, maybe from Springfield, maybe from Hartford, and are going to come to Worcester because we have all these other attractions. Like, I mean, we're just teeming with golf. Oh, wait, we don't have a mini golf place. We have movie. Oh, wait, we don't have a movie theater. We have a bunch of affordable downtown grocery store. Oh, no, there's no grocery store downtown. We have a bunch of places for people to go during the evenings downtown. Oh, no, that's not true. Oh, so what is going to attract these people who can afford this market to the city? And you can see that these buildings aren't being full yet. And we have on Green Street, you have another what I think is 84 units in the Green Street one, and then you have the one the Mount Carmel place, which by the way, Mount Carmel has also been leasing at least a little bit because I've seen a few people have moved into there, but it's not full. It is not full. So it may have reduced the vacancy rate in the city by a little bit, but the vacancies are these supposed market rate apartments, and they're not being bought up. So to me, it's just this attitude and this thought process, Tommy, that just drives me crazy. Developer speak, and they never go anywhere else. So.
Agreed. I did some. No, not at all. Just Johnny. So I according to information from the city just a couple weeks ago in a report for the city council meeting this past week, the market rate for a studio is $1,783, 1 bedroom $2,040, 2 bedroom almost $3,000, $2,925, and 3 bedroom $3,780. I also took the median income per age bracket, right? For under 25 to 44, and 45 to 64. Median income for each age bracket in Worcester. And if you look at that, and you look at who can actually, live in those market rates affordably, sometimes you have a grid here of 3 age groups or 4 age groups, right? There's under 25, 44, 45, 64, and 65 plus. And then you have at each, bedroom capacity, right? At the median income in the city, the only rates that are affordable, that is 30% or under, are 25 to 44 for a studio and 45 to 64 for a studio or 1 bedroom. Everything else is over 30% of the median income for each age bracket.
I mean, there's a lot of singles available, a lot of single date, people in the 45 range, right? Like they don't have any family, right. They don't have a significant other. It's just completely normal that they would be, And
according to, this is from census data that I found, just for under 25, right? The median income is $35K. To afford a studio at the current market price, they would spend over $21,000 a year. more than 60% of their income for a studio at market rate.
See you, Victor. No, it just makes no sense. It's complete nonsense, Tom. And our city officials, not only do they believe this, but they promote it. They promote it. It's like it's what they sing the siren song of the developers. They're like, market rate, market rate. We're giving you more market rate. It's unbelievable and it's constant, and it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense in any sense of the word. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat or left or right. If you're a communist, I don't care if you are a Whig Party member. I hear the Whig Party's coming back strong. I really don't care what party. By the way, when I'm an election inspector. For those of you who don't know, I'm at my station at the library. I cannot tell you this person's name because that would be breaking the law, and I could go to federal prison. So I'm not going to do that. But there was a person who was a member of the Pizza Party, which is a real political party here in Massachusetts. There's also a Pirate Party. You can look up all the political parties on mass.gov. But it doesn't matter where you are. There's no one on earth who can logically say this unless you have a specific agenda and a specific approach to understanding economics. But this is usually what happens right before there's an epic crash. Is this kind of thinking. It's like, well, what we're thinking is there's going to be X amount of people from the Framingham area and the Middlesex County area that are going to move naturally at the age of 41 into the Worcester County area because we've seen this demographic shift over this time, and they start to tell you this nonsense about how they think the growth is going to continue. But what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't? And then, of course, what's the biologics lab? Wuhan Biologics just recently paused construction on the lab over on Grafton Street, which is supposed to be Bell Hill, near Bell Hill, right? So that project was supposed to bring hundreds of new high-paying jobs to the city of Worcester. And I told you when we did the Doherty tour that the guy who was one of the high-ranking officials was there, and he was looking at the lab that they're going to be teaching some of those specific skills in the Doherty thing. And he was talking about how 5 or 10 years from now he was expecting to hire some of those kids. And in the same conversation, it came, well, where are the workers going to come from for now? And he said, well, most of them are going to come from the Route 9 corridor, right? The Route 9 corridor is the thing that he said. What does that mean? That means they're not coming from Worcester. They're going to drive down Route 9 because they're going to be offered, $100,000 or $150,000 salary, and they're going to drive back to Framingham in terrible traffic at 4:30 at night along Route 9, and they're not going to spend any of their money in Worcester. Remember that. So we gave them a big tax break to build that building, and they're going to take their big tax break and send those salaries to other towns and municipalities in the state of Massachusetts. Now, I'm all for more jobs for the state of Massachusetts because, we want the state to do well too. But the whole point of the tax incentive is to help that company bring jobs to Worcester. And it doesn't actually bring jobs to Worcester. It brings people who live outside of the city to work in the city and then leave the city at the end of the day. And that doesn't lead to any new income, and it doesn't increase the tax base. It's completely backwards thinking. And listen, I'm not an economics expert or professor by any means, but in this podcast, I was able to figure that out in about 15 seconds. So imagine someone smarter than me. Couldn't they do a better job? Right? Couldn't they do a better job, Tom? I don't understand. Yeah,
it's it seems to be that the theory is we'll build these places and people that will move into them, and that will expand because then they'll probably come from outside the city because, again, the economic situation of residents of the city, and that's going to increase the tax base. And while that is true, we have a crisis here in housing costs. And while that crisis is not limited to Worcester, Worcester is one of the worst markets in the country.
It is,
as reported by multiple different sources. It's not, not making it up. It's not my idea that it is one of the worst housing markets in the country.
Hey, you ever
So
notice how every time one of those stories comes out, there's like a magazine article that like somehow quotes the Chamber of Commerce that says Worcester's ranked in the top 5 places in the world to live, and it's like you ever notice how? Oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm speculating wildly right now about connected, press responses. That would never happen in the city ever, right, Tom? That would never happen.
no comment. Uh,
It's hilarious.
you're trying to bait me. You're trying
By
to
the way,
bait me is what you're doing.
for those of you watching, right, this is total inside press baseball right here. Like, because we know this game because we're both in the press and in the media, and that's kind of how it works. And so, I definitely was trying to bait my buddy, get him
Um,
going.
but if you want to go down that road, I just want to point out that I think it came out on Monday, but it's on the site now in our column section. A pretty extensive look at previous owners or the chain of ownership of the two hotels in Gateway Park that have caused so much controversy because WPI is going to buy them and convert them to student housing, including So we looked at its current owners, which is a Wall Street traded, publicly traded firm from Wall Street. With it's not BlackRock, it's Blackstone, which is not as big. They only have $1 trillion under management, unlike
Only a
bigger
trillion?
fund companies. I mean, these are the worst of Wall Street. These companies, and before that, the developers of those hotels paid nothing for that land that they built those hotels on. And then in 2017, they acquired them in 2019. They built one of the hotels early. That one didn't have a tax break. The other one did. And 2 years after that agreement was signed, they sold them to this Wall Street company for a total of the two properties combined, 16 and 13, so $29 million, properties that they acquired for nothing.
And the city's upset about the little, the 1.7 million that will be coming off the books in taxes. Meanwhile, handing out left and right 5 and 4 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 3 and 8 and 30 and a 30-year deal for the Polar Park in tax incentives all over the place, and wondering why other entities are going to operate in the same exact manner. Man, that's weird how that happens. It's really strange.
And you know what? And those tax breaks are money that will eventually, once they make their investment back.
It's less taxes at the time. It's not no taxes, right? Right.
Correct. It is, and people should understand this. This is an important point. Good for you for mentioning it. TIFs, which is what these tax breaks are, they're tax incentive, increment financing. So it is on the increase in taxes over time. So it's not that these companies aren't paying any taxes, but they get a percentage break over time each year on the increase in taxes. So as the properties are reevaluated and the cost of or the value of the property goes up, they get a break on that increase. City council just did one a week ago, I believe it was. Where for 340 means
letter getting upset with the city council for nothing came out from the secret
government. No. The secret government didn't comment on the $5.7 million tax break for 340 Main Street. And I feel like we talked about this last week. So if this is repeated, I apologize. But that's about 9 months of profit of that. That property, once it's paid off, once they recover their investment, is going to print $8 million. It's going to print $8 million in revenue a year at full capacity. And we gave these people a $5 million tax break. 9 months. 9 months earlier, they get the profitability. And I just find it hard to believe that that is the difference between these deals happening. A revenue of $8 million, and it takes that $5 million tax giveaway to get them to do it.
And I mean, it's not like you could even dig even farther to this and look at the fact that most of these projects are debt financed. And of course, if you take out debt to build, you don't have to pay taxes on the debt. And then, of course, those debts are then chopped up by the banks and sold as debt-based securities. And of course, those debt-based securities also don't pay any taxes. And so it's not like the bank that also financed the deal, like they're not paying their full slate, and nor is the stockbrokers. And I wonder if that Wall Street firm that you're talking about, I wonder if they happen to own any shares in the banks that happen to be financing these projects that are debt financed. It's not like we could tie those things together, or could we?
I mean, it's a difficult tie though, but
Anyways, those are interesting little things about the way things work.
So that is so that story is on the site now. It is under our column section, which is like the third section down.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to mention real quickly because and this is going to be a short episode because Mr. Keogh has to attend to eventing.
Big fancy John doing big fancy stuff.
You can get it from the city's website, from the agenda for Tuesday's city council meeting, but a report on the usage of the police department's drone has been released. It looks like there was 7 usages in this reporting period.
30 grand.
It's a quarterly report. Of course, it won't pull up for me now. Here it is. So it's a quarterly report. So, June 12th, 18th, July 17th, July 24th, July 29th, and August 6th and August 24th were the drone usages. I will do a story about this, this week on the details of it, but seven usages this quarter.
And I'm sure if you look at this report, because it happens to be up on my screen right now, you'll notice, Tom, that the city actually bought 2 drones. One is the big giant drone, and then there's a smaller kind of like scout-ish drone, and you'll see which one got used most. I'm looking forward to this story on This Week in Worcester. By the way, the new columns feature is also looking for sponsors. And if you happen to be in the chat, we will take any of your small businesses and we'll give you all these lovely viewers and people that are here and the various things that are saying hi to us all the time, and Twitter on this side and down here on this channel and this channel. There's all these people all over the place. I don't know what to do. I wonder if they like my hair. Do they like my hair out or do they like my hair up? Like, what's the question? Do I look more jacked like this, or do I look better like this? What do you guys? If you want to talk, no, that's not what we're here to talk about. I'm sorry.
You look like a damn hippie.
I am a hippie. What do you mean? I'm a giant.
Wear it. I don't believe in your burned out hippie creed.
I'm not completely burned out, but listen, there is a big time question at the end of the show that's coming up, and I have one. I have a question for you.
You have a question?
I do. I have a question. I have a very serious and important question. If you're done with serious topics, I'm ready to nail you with the most important and best part of this show.
Yeah, unless you had anything else you wanted to go over, that was our agenda.
Nothing. So we were just at a street festival, right?
Big question.
Big question. Street festival, and of course, we just went through fair season, right? So Spencer Fair and the Big E and the Linfield, all the fairs all over the place that are like great and wonderful. And of course, at those fairs and street festivals, you often will find fried dough, right? Fried dough. So Tom Marino, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you shake the dust, the powdered sugar on the fried dough? Do you go for the plain fried dough, or are you a fried dough and ice cream kind of guy? You have 3 options. You're on the clock.
Yeah, no, I mean, you don't usually see fried dough, but at something like that, right? And fried dough and ice cream isn't usually an option. So yeah, I would say powdered sugar. It's definitely not plain powdered sugar. I mean, look, if you're gonna take a piece of dough that is fried in oil and clog your arteries with it, you might as well just put sugar on it and make it as good as it can be.
That's great. I
am pro fried dough. Don't get me wrong. This isn't a slight. I'm saying I'm the first one to clog my arteries with that.
I'm a fried dough guy myself, and I will eat fried dough under pretty much any circumstances. But I will say to you that I would definitely say a vanilla ice cream and fried dough with powdered sugar I don't know that there's many better things on earth, and I'm pretty sure that that is cinnamon sugar holly. Oh, you're killing me. Oh, that's tough. Fried dough though. I definitely need some fried dough in my life. Yep, absolutely. Definitely need it to happen right now. This is the best part of the This Week in Worcester podcast. Hey, why don't you tell them about what's coming up on Wednesday? Isn't there a very special episode coming up without me? A Johnless podcast?
We're not ready to enough specifics on that yet.
Sorry.
But I will be doing an interview on or having a conversation on Wednesday. I think folks will find interesting. Actually, hopefully in the next couple weeks there'll be 2 of those. So
Whoa. So that means that for the businesses that are in the chat, and I can see you small business owners, because I sent this to you and I see that you logged in and I can see you with your little Facebook account watching us right now. You could not only sponsor this wonderfully incredible show where we talk about fried dough and whether I should have a man bun, and you could get access to some of Tom's other interviews that he's going to be doing with interesting people.
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, and of course, Hollywood Film Group and Tom, my company, has an entertainment portion now for This Week in Worcester. I mean, realistically, could you do any better than this place right now? I don't think that you could. I don't know that you could. So kick in the dough. Let me get it. Send me a text. Send me an email. Send me a thing. You guys are all connected with me everywhere, and you know how to get a hold of me. So let's do this. Let's do this.
Anything else, sir?
No, that's it. That's all I got. I was just
I love that you. I love that you do the ad pitch, and I don't have
to. All right. So come out to Ralph's tonight. Anybody who's in the city of Worcester, come down to Ralph's Rock Diner.
Yes.
And come see the show. It's a free show. The movie starts at 8:30. People will start getting there at 8. I'm sure Narc's probably already over there right now, hanging out. And in fact, we're going to be testing the projector in like 15 minutes, literally right outside of my office, to make sure that it works. We try to dot every I, cross every T. Come out, check it out. It's unbelievable what you'll get the opportunity to see. It blows my mind that we were able to pull this off, but a full feature-length documentary done by community organizations right here in the city of Worcester. It's unbelievable. So come check it out.
Yeah, that is tonight at Ralph's Diner on Grove Street. If you are tuning in at 8:30 and watching this, sorry that you were not seeing a live show. Obviously, that event we had to go a little earlier today, but we will be back next Sunday at our regular time at 8:30.
Yes, we will.
And at that time, guess what we will do?
What?
We will try to screw it up less.
Just a little bit less than last time.
For Mr. going to an event to have his new film screened, Mr. John Edward Keogh. I'm Tom Marino. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next Sunday.
Good evening, everybody.